Car payments, mortgage payments, credit card payments, student loans, things we all have to deal with almost every day of the week. So how can we actually save some money these days? Well, Lance Howard is here this morning from Howard Financial with a few helpful tips. Good morning, Lance.
Good morning, Rob.
Thanks for being back with us.
Great to be here.
So basically, the question is, how can we save money?
Well, you know, it may sound simple, but the old adage of pay yourself first. Pay yourself first really works. Take 10% right off the top. You won't miss it if you take it off the top so much, if you don't ever see it. And take advantage of your employer match. So important to do that. So
the 401k match?
Oh, yes. 401k matches are important. It's free money.
And what about simple ways? Like, we live in Bakersfield here, so what are some ways that people that live in Bakersfield and Kern County can save money specifically, such as, you know, solar panels, shopping at the Dollar Tree, discount stores, waiting for sales? What are realistic ways that we can start to save money?
I think we see that. I think that those stores really have a lot of people going to them. Costco's always busy. Solar panels are a big new way that you can do that. If you can afford to go get the solar panels or lease them, then, you know, the payback takes 5 to 10 years, but it is a great way to cut down on one of the most expensive items we have here in Kern County. Energy.
And what about cutting down on things like, for example, let's say you eat out twice a week for dinner, cut it down to once a week. Let's say you get your hair cut every 4 weeks, make it every 6 weeks now. What about things like that?
All of that makes a big difference. We were doing a little math yesterday, and just a $3 coffee and a $5 lunch can add up to $3,000 a year at 5 days a week. So,
wow.
And that's very conservative. If people are doing about twice that, $6 for coffee and $10 for lunch, $6,000 a year. That could fund a Roth IRA.
That's unbelievable. So a $3 coffee every morning and then a $5 lunch, which would be on the cheaper side of things.
Very much so.
Would be $3,000 a year.
Yes.
So there are, in fact, easy ways to save. Now, what about transferring money? A lot of people don't do this, myself included. Transferring money from your checking account, if you have direct deposit with work, to your savings account every month.
You know, right now we're in a low interest rate environment, and there's not as much difference right now between checking and savings. But when interest rates come back up a little bit, that is very much a way that you can gain save more money. Mm-hmm. Transfer money to your savings account and even to money markets and CDs.
Okay, and what about paying down credit card debt? I think we all, at some point in our lives, have some credit card debt, planning for retirement. And what about emergency savings? How important is that to have cash on hand somewhere if something goes wrong?
Very important to have cash on hand. If you don't have your credit cards paid down, that can be that source of your cash on hand. But if your credit cards aren't paid down, what are you going to do?
And I think this is something that I was saddled with in college. I had a lot of student loans. My parents tried to reinforce in me the importance of having a good credit score once you're out of college because it helps you in the professional world. So what can we say to the students out there that are maybe entering their senior year of school right now, or they're heading back to school, or they've just gotten out of school? How important is a good credit score?
Extremely important, because the higher interest you pay over your lifetime really gets in your way of the savings that you can have. If you're always paying a higher credit rate, then your money's gone. If you have interest rates on every single card you're paying, your money's gone.
And finally, spending money based on how much we make. Sometimes our eyes are a little bit bigger than our checkbooks, and we might buy something on credit and leverage it a little bit. How important is it to be realistic about those things?
Very important to be realistic. What came back in 2008 was the idea of layaway. Credit cards were getting in people's way. They were spending money they didn't have, and layaway came back. People put items down, pay for it, and when you pay for it, you can leave the store with it.
Right.
But not until it's paid for.
Right. Smart.
So it's the old way of doing it, but hard for a lot of people to do.
Sometimes the old ways are the best.
Yeah. But credit's the way we live these days, and so you really have to trim those credit cards down and really keep the cost down on those.
$3 coffee each day, a $5 lunch each day is $3,000 a year, something to be aware of. Lance Howard, thank you so much for joining us from Howard Financial. We appreciate it. Linda, back over to you.
A lot of those coffees are like $4.25, so something to think about. It is